Hello everybody, this is Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. How's everybody doing? Hopefully very well. I'm doing okay. My lighting, of course, is giving me massive headache now at this point, but hey, we're going to soldier through until I can figure out lighting, which is a very complex art in and of itself. But anyways, we are back with part 2 of the series to make your own journal. So from start to finish, so it's going to be based on the Celtic Heritage Ireland kit that I have available on Etsy, and I'll have a link down below for that. That's what we're going to use. So on the last one we did our cover here, and so now we want to figure out what to put in there. So again, this was based on my Ireland journal, and hopefully you can see that with my crappy lighting. So normally I do 3 signatures per journal, and a signature is basically the chunk of papers that are folded in half and they're sewn into the book. All your signatures together would be your text block, but each signature here has about 15 pages. It's a pretty good amount for it. That way you have a lot of room to work and everything, and it's not too bulky, but it's not too thin. So that's what we're going to shoot for. So if you've got 15 sheets, you fold it in half, you now have basically 30 pages. You count front and back, that's 60 per signature, 3 signatures, 180 pages. So lots and lots of room to play. All right, so what kind of pages are we going to put in? Well, first of all, I have printed out my kit. So we will start with the pages. So these are the book pages here, and there's 13 of them in there, so that you can choose whether you want to have the one with or without the quote here. And what I do is I put kind of the fancier stuff on the front, and then I will do the plain pages on the back. And so that gives me a nice variety as well. And with the 12 images in there, 12 pages, you can get 6 front and back before you end up having to kind of repeat stuff. So we're going to use 2 of these per signature. And then I also printed out of course I got them mixed up now, didn't I? Because that's just how it goes. Alrighty, so this is the rest of the kit that has the ephemera. It's got all of your pockets. It's got the pictures that come with the main kit for you to put in there, little decorations, stuff like that. So this stuff here, the pages I did on parchment paper. You want to do these on parchment paper or cardstock, generally, because that way they're thicker. And so if you want to sew on them, if you want to glue the pockets on there or whatnot, it can hold up to the abuse basically, whereas copy paper is going to start to tear after a while. So the parchment paper that I use is this stuff here, and I get it at Walmart or Amazon. It's by Nina, 24-pound parchment paper. I use the ivory. They have cream color. If you use either the cream or ivory, it's going to give you a little bit of an antique tint to your things that you print out with it. So we'll shift your colors just a tiny bit, but I think it looks really cool that way. So we have that for that. And then for the other stuff I do on the cardstock, I just have this stuff. I got it at Walmart because I needed some, and this is all they had. And actually, it works really good. It's nice and smooth, and it prints real nice. So that's my cardstock here. And I've also printed out the add-on kit, which has tons more pictures and things to decorate with, whatnot. So for this particular series, where we're going to be making the journal from start to finish, I'm just going to use my kit as far as any of the ephemera and the pockets and things like that, so that you can see just how much you can get out of this. You can even have stuff left over with it. So we'll set these here, and then what else are we going to use? Well, we're going to use some scrapbook paper. So this is Authentique, and this is a Dublin collection. It's not super new. They come out with a new one, of course, around St. Patrick's Day every year that's Irish themed, so that's a great time to get them. But we'll be using some of this to do some pages, and you can also use it to decorate your tags and pockets, although this is graphic 45, but it does go, so I must have just stuck it in there. Anyways, we'll be using some of that. And then I have some really cool stuff. I keep my stuff in folders so I can find it in this mess that is all my stuff for journal making. So I have some pages here. There's an Etsy seller. Her name is Treasured Over Time, I believe, and I'll put her information down below too. And she has a lot of different packs that you can get that have either antique book pages or Ireland themed ones or the ones in Irish Gaelic, which are great. I have those as well. So we have all this kind of cool stuff and these great textures to work with. So we'll look through this and decide what we want to use out of here. So those are the Ireland ones. And then these are the ones in Irish Gaelic. So as opposed to Scottish Gaelic, and I do mix those up all the time, so my apologies to anybody who speaks either of them. I'm working on it. Not exactly the easiest language ever to learn, so it's fun though. So we have this, and we have these. See if I can do it. There we go. Yeah, see? Got all kinds of stuff in there, you know, and this is great because this is showing you how to speak. So, you know, depending on which page that you get in the packet she sends you, you might learn something new. And don't count on any of these being pronounced any way that they're spelled, because yeah, that's not going to happen much for you. So this is like some math pages, different stuff like that. So we have those. I'll sit this to the side because the folders are throwing my white balance into coronary there. And also along with those packs, she has some other stuff in there. So there are some, she puts this cute little confetti in it, and that was fun picking that up. I think I got all of them, but there's some playing cards. I have the package that she sent it to me in that came from Ireland, has the Irish postage on there, so I cut them off of there, as well as some stamps that I had purchased specifically from her. So I'll be using those too. And then a lot of our pages will be made up of just regular old tea stain paper. So mine's actually coffee stain paper because I like it a little bit darker. So I use Mrs. Cogs method for making this stuff, and I will link that as well. It's super easy. You soak it in there and you dry it off in the oven, and it comes out really cool like this. I have that, and I should have some more ledger paper, things like that, but I really need to do another batch of them. It takes hours because I do a huge, like a stack of paper. So I have tons. And then I have this. So this I got from Amazon. This is handmade mulberry paper, and I got two different ones of them, but they came in like the coolest envelopes ever, the handmade paper envelopes. So eventually that will be cannibalized and used in a journal, but that's these here. So there's all sorts of different patterns and things to them, and they're really pretty. So they add a lot of texture and stuff to it. Now obviously you're not going to have an easy time writing on that, but that's not what really those pages are for. They're just kind of for texture and stuff. I also have, I've got one little book page left where I used some of the water-based dye sprays. I think it was I don't remember if it was the Tim Holtz or the other ones, but have those. So we use all kinds of papers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go cut out all of the ephemera and all the pictures and things, because I know you do not want to watch me do that on camera. I don't want to watch me do that on camera. So get all that stuff cut out, and I will whittle down the choices of papers to a more sane level and kind of show you what I'm going to put in there and why, and we will go from there. Okay, so I will be right back. Okay. So I am back, and I have cut everything out, as you can see. I've got tons of stuff in here. I love using the little glassine bags to hold all the stuff because it keeps them nice and organized somewhat. On some of these, I just wanted to show you, for example, this right here. This is going to be the notebook one. So on this, just cut it straight until you back it and do all that. And once you fold it, then that's when you're going to want to cut all these things here. And the same goes for these file folder tabs. Go ahead and cut them like this, so that way once you fold them over, and then you can cut that part out and you'll know they both look the same and you don't have any kind of weirdness going on there. So that is all of these. And then this one, I printed this out on that newsprint stuff. So the stuff that's like the scratch pad paper, I did it regular and I did it in black and white, just to kind of see the difference between the two. But this is a nice thin kind of paper, so it mimics more of a real feeling that you would have from a document like that. So I'm going to set all this up here, and I will bring out the pages. Okay, so I have a little bit of a spot on my light there, but hey, at least we can kind of see more or less. Okay, so here's what we have so far. We have the pages here, and I've gone ahead and trimmed around the edges so there's no more white edges on there. And then I picked out some different stuff. So again, we're doing 3 signatures, so it's probably best to just start 3 piles of things. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to find which ones have a picture that lends itself best to being in the center of a journal. And I would say it's these 3 here. So when we fold these, we're going to fold these in instead of out. Okay? So these are going to be our piles here. And then we will just randomly pick ones to go with it that don't really match the color. There we go. So that way we get a variety of colors as well. All right, so within these, I do have some of the doilies that I did with the sparkly spray. I think it was the Dilution spray because it's the shimmer sprays. Because it's got, I don't know if you can, let's see, will this give enough stuff so you can see sparkly? Yeah, it's sparkly. So we're going to do 1 each on those. So we're at 2, that's kind of, I don't really count that as a page. It'll take up a little bit of bulk, but not much. So we're going to be at 2 pages currently with that. So then I have these Irish pages here. So since I have to have symmetry, I'll put the large one there and the 2 small ones here. And these, the thing I really like about getting the stuff from Treasured Over Time is she's very careful when she can to have the book pages stay connected. So that way this can go in there like this as opposed to it being a single page. If you do have 2 single pages you want to use, you can always put washi tape down the center of both and kind of hook them back together again, and they'll work for you. So we've got those. And then we have these here, which these are all, kind of how-to Irish grammar books. And it's funny because I'm looking at this, and Scottish Gaelic and Irish Gaelic are very, very similar, but they are 2 completely different languages. But then I see a bunch of stuff that's like, oh, it's the same as that. So it's got to be confusing. All right, so we'll put 1 each in those. And again, these are also, they're still connected. So that'll be nice and easy. Alrighty, and then we have these pages here. This one's a little bit larger here, but these are from an antique Irish history book. So we're going to have 1 of those. And these are going to have to go like this. Ideally you would have it where you could read it, but, doesn't always work out like that. So we have those there. And then I have some magazine style pages. So we've got like a Book of Kells looking stuff here. This one also has one, so we'll put those this way. And then this is a rather large one. Excuse me, it's got like a scene here and some more pictures in here. So I'll go in that center one. And then we have some music pages. So again, these are going to have to go this way. Not ideal, but they weren't together, so I don't have a choice. These are all antiques, so there's those. And then we have this one here, so this will go in the center piece. And then we have, these are from like a AAA Gazette thing for traveling in Ireland, the AA Road Book of Ireland. So this one right here, even though it's got 2 pages, I'm not going to use it like that, so I'll probably take these. Yeah, let's do that, because this has a map. This one doesn't have any illustrations, so we'll set that aside. We'll put this here. We're going to very carefully and very gently, and it's okay. I mean, even though these are connected, I'm not going to make a journal that large, so I would have to do this anyway. Okay, so we've got pictures, pictures, pictures. Huzzah! All right. What else do I have in here? I have, of course, the coffee dyed paper. So each one is going to get 3 sheets of coffee dyed paper. And again, depending on how many sheets we end up with per signature, we can maybe take 1 away, because I will need some to back some things, and I really don't want to coffee dye any more paper, but I'm probably going to have to. So we got 3 of those there. And then I have that handmade mulberry paper. So I was thinking of doing 2 sheets in each. I might only do 1. I don't know. We'll kind of see as we go along how it's looking. So we'll just kind of, 1 plain one and 1 with, somebody mowed their lawn and made it into paper, but that's cool because it looks nice. So yeah, I'll put it like that. Okay, so we've each got the mulberry paper. And then of course we have the scrapbook paper. So each one of these is going to get 1. I won't sit those on there because we're going to have to cut this down. So that's going to be our next step. And then I have, and this is a maybe, but these are from the DCWV, Die Cuts with a View, I guess. You can get these pads at, is it Michael's? Michael's or Joann's, one of the two carries them. And they're 8x8, and they have a bunch of maps and ledgers and things, and it's a big old thick one, so you get a lot of good stuff, and I coffee dyed those as well. And then from my stash of green stuff I had left, and I can't remember what, I didn't do the green for the Ireland journal, I can't remember what I did, or maybe I had just gotten the shimmer sprays and just went bug nutty with them, who knows what I was doing, but I have one dictionary page left, and I have 2 of the invoices. So I buy these packs of invoices at Walmart, and they're in triplicate, so I coffee dye those as well. Okay, so let's see how many pages that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're calling that 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 on the nose. And then with the scrapbook paper actually makes 16. So what we're going to do is we are going to take these little piles and we're going to put them kind of like this. And we're going to deal with the scrapbook paper first because it has to be cut down. So get this out of the way here. All right, so with the scrapbook paper, it's 12 by 12. And our signatures, the base papers we're using, are 8.5 by 11. So that's not going to work, right? So we're going to have to cut this down. You can do this a number of ways. You can cut it down or you can fold it to be used as pockets. It's really up to you. So what we'll do is I think we'll do 1 with it folded and 2 with it cut. Or maybe 2. No, we'll do 2 with it folded, 1 with it cut. Because if I cut it, it means I got to sew it. So, all right, so I have my handy dandy paper trimmer here. And it has the blade for cutting paper in it. It doesn't have that other blade that I was using for cutting the chipboard. So we need to cut the little tops off of these for sure first. I'll line that up. Come on. I'm going to take that paper strip off. And do that for all 3 of them. Oh, the excitement. All right. And then 1 more here. All right, so since we are going to fold 2 and cut 1, let's cut this center one. All right, so if our page is running 8.5 by 11, no, yes, that was correct. I can't follow my own directions on my hand very good. And this is not terribly directional, so we're going to go ahead and do this 8.5 inches tall. Okay, hang on to that. And we're going to go over here, and we're going to make this 11 inches long. Okay, so there we go. So we'll hang on to those right there to use for tags and things like that. Little scraps. I always have my little scrap. I've got a whole, check that out. Oh, and it cut off, really? Why did it cut off? Is it still recording? Okay, it looks like it's still recording. It's just my mirroring software is being an a-hole. So fine, we'll just let it be an a-hole and hope for the best, I guess. All right, so this is the bag of scraps that I have that I keep next to me for using all kinds of stuff. So this right here, when we go to make it into a pocket, we can take this and we can attach it here and cut it down to where we want it and that sort of stuff there. Okay, so I'm going to pause for just 1 second so I can get my mirroring software so I can see what the heck I'm doing, and I should be right back. Okay, I'm back, and you know what? That worked out nice because I had to get my scoreboard out so that we can fold these guys here. So what we're going to do with these, again, you know, we're talking 8.5 by 11, but we're going to, you know, fold it for the height, but we do still need to get the width so that it matches. So we're going to cut these down to 11. This is a We Are Memory Keepers scoreboard, and it's nice because it's a scoreboard and a paper trimmer, which is really good. So let me take the, oopsie, and it's really loud apparently. Sorry about that. That was that one. And then this one. Make sure we are straight. It's always my issue. I can never do anything straight. Oh, what's wrong with me? and my eyesight. Well, I have very little depth perception in my eyesight, so it's kind of hard to see. But so then you just flip this over and voila, you have a scoreboard. So what we're going to do here is, this is the 11 inches long, and so we are going to go 8.5 inches wide. So we're going to turn this here, and it's directional, not really perfect. We are going to put this here. We are going to go out 8.5 inches, and we're going to score it right here. And while we have it here, we're going to go ahead and do our center score on these. The pages you can do on their own. So let's see, 11, so that's 5.5. But the whatever this is, scrapbook paper, Jesus, can't really do it that way with it. It doesn't like to play very nice. It plays much better when it's been scored. So we'll go ahead and see, we've got the 11, so we're going to do it at 5.5, and we're going to do it a little lighter than I did that last one, or maybe not. That's okay, because we're going to cut that, so I was planning on doing that, I promise you. Anyway, so let's put it here so that that piece is there, and then we're going to go to the 8.5 mark, and we're going to score that way. Okay, and then while we've got it here, we're going to go ahead and take this one, same thing, we're going to do 5.5. We're going to do it very gently on this guy here, because we can't afford to rip him. Okay, and then since this is at 12, we're going to trim it. We'll just go ahead and do this at 6 so that it's in the center. Make life a little bit easier for us. Okay, so put this away here. Got a little spot to put that. Okay, so let's bring our scrapbook paper back in, and we're going to go ahead and fold it. So when you score it, I was watching one of Gayle's videos one time, and she'd mentioned somebody, one of her subscribers had told her the easiest way to remember is you're going to turn a valley into a mountain. So if you've scored it this way, you want to turn that valley into a mountain, and you want to fold it this way for your best results. Okay, so we're going to do that with these. Same thing here, regardless of whether we decide to, you know, leave it this way or not. We'll start it off like that. Okay, so with these, we're going to find that center one. And we're going to make sure it all lines up all nice and pretty. Same with this one. And then we're going to fold up like this. And see, the drawback with scrapbook paper is it can crack. I don't know if you can kind of see that, where it's just cracked a little bit. Nice thing is when it shows that little white core, we can always put distress ink on it and kind of disguise it if it's really bad. But same with this one here. Where are you? Fold. There it is. Yeah. I'm like, why isn't it folding? Oh, because I'm stupid. Okay, I got it. All right. So these here. So now, when we put these in the journal, we can put it with them facing inwards. We can put it with them facing outwards. But either way, this is going to create tension if we have it just folded and fold over like this. So to alleviate the tension, I take it and I fold it like this. And here's where your thing is. And I just make a tiny cut in it. And I cut like a wedge out of it. And I go, you know, almost to that, but not quite. And we get rid of that. Okay? This is what you have now. Here. So now when you fold it, it's going to be nice and straight. They're going to lay nice and flat for you. Okay? So for now, we're just going to fold them inwards. And we'll make that decision when we see how everything else looks. Same with this one. In that corner, you're just going to take a tiny little wedge. And we are going to probably sew these. I prefer to sew them versus glue them, because I just like the texture the sewing gives it. Okay, we have this and this. And the thing that I noticed that was really cool is this paper looks a lot like our cover, which is nice. So there we go. Okay, so these are our three here. So we will probably have the weird one be the center one. I usually do. So we're going to have that this way. And what we'll do with this is these pockets, you know, will be placed in here and sewn on like that. And we'll probably cut them as well, but I usually do that like right when I'm ready to sew it, so that way it doesn't get torn somewhere along the way. So we're just going to sit this pocket guy aside for a second, and we will just grab our piles here. And I'm going to do one pile to show you, and then I will probably speed up, and then we'll see if I can figure out how to do the music this time, because I couldn't figure it out last time. Okay, So we have our stuff. So we want this to be our center piece of our journal. So we're just going to fold this over. Get the bone folder out so you can have a nice crisp fold on all your papers. So since I have that one that way, I'm going to do this one with this facing out. So that way this will probably be the very first page. I usually like to have the journal pages as one of the first pages. Same with this. We're just going to fold this. Don't worry too much about having it, you know, absolutely where these are matching up or anything. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to see it. Okay, these are already folded. So this one we are going to do probably like this. And that's just kind of the first step, and it takes a little bit, you know, but at least you only got to do it once, you know. And now if you're using book pages that are antique book pages, be careful because sometimes they'll be really brittle. If they are brittle, then again what you do is you get some washi tape, and you're going to run washi tape and reinforce that, and then when you sew through it, it'll be just fine. All right, and we have this one, and I really like this part of it. I mean, this part's nice too, but we want this part on the outside, I think. So we'll do that. And you just go through and do this with all the pages. So I will probably speed it up a bit or edit it, you know, something. And then y'all can join me back once I have everything folded, and we will kind of put them in order the way we want them. Okay, so I'm going to stop the fast forwarding for just a minute to show you. Now this one here is a bit longer than the other stuff, so it is you're probably looking about 12.5 inches. So if we fold this in half, we're going to end up having to cut off part of it. So when that's the case, just figure out how you want it, and you know, let's have this about here, and you can fold it part way like so. And then you can take this part here and it'll become like a little flap, or we can, you know, do it around the other way. So it's a little tuck, you know, whichever looks best. I usually put it right on there and fold it and then, you know, pop it back under here. Okay, so that way we can fit it in and we don't have to lose any of the paper. So back to the fast forwarding. Okay, so we are back with this, and so now we have our 3 piles of folded stuff that we're going to have. Okay, so each of these are going to be the signatures here. So we will go ahead and take this first one. We'll kind of take a look at it. So we've got our 2 sheets that come from the kit. Have the one where it's on the outside with plain on the inside. the plain on the outside with the fancy on the inside. So this is what I want for my center page. So we'll go ahead and put this here because I usually have one of the journal kit ones on the outer page as well. So we will have those there. And then we've got all these other ones. So we've got some little things. We'll kind of scoot those there. These are text pages. There's a color page. There's a music page. I usually start with my tea stain paper and my scrapbook paper. So we're going to take the tea stain paper and we're going to go ahead and start putting the stuff in here. Don't worry about, as it goes in here, you'll see the pages start to kind of creep outwards. That's absolutely normal. So once we get everything put together, then we'll deal with that part. So we got that there, and we put this guy back in here. And so we want this to be kind of, you know, everything even throughout. So let's go ahead and we'll put that one here for now. Okay, so we've got fancy pages and plain pages. Okay, now we've got our mulberry papers. So we will do, you know what might be fun? Since I don't have any of my vellum that's already done, maybe one on the outside. No, I don't like that. Okay, maybe not. So we'll put I'll put one here. And then we'll put one, and we'll put it between these two. And this is all you're going to do, is you're just going to kind of figure out which order you want your pages. And generally, once I do that with the first one, then my other ones are going to follow suit as far as, you know, what goes where. So if this goes in the second spot, which it will, because I like to have this sort of up front to sort of break things up, it'll be in the same spot and the other two as well. And let's see, let's get some of our fancies. So we've got our fancy book page here. And so we want to kind of have a couple things between that, so that we don't accidentally, you know, you don't want to clump all your fancy pages and then have nothing but text, etc., etc. And then as you can see here, now this page right here is very underwhelming, right? We're going to deal with that when we do kind of our texturing and our sewing and stuff like that before we sew it in. So I'll show you a couple options that you can do with those sorts of things. All right, and then for text, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So we will start alternating them. So let's go between here and here. We will do a small one. And you know what? We want a difference in color as well. So we won't do the white one next to the bright white. All right, and let's go to our next page here. So we've got this. We want something kind of plain. So maybe that's where we'll use this. Because it'll kind of, it won't cover it completely. Actually, no, you know what? I think the doily would look better there. There you go. So it doesn't cover it completely, but it kind of does break it up a little bit. So now between here and here, let's go ahead and do the music page. And you can put these this way, you can put these this way. It's up to you. It just depends on how you want it to look. Just keep in mind, of course, as we read, our eye's going to go to this page first. So if it's something cool, like when I have really cool looking stains on the coffee paper, then I put it so that it's here, so you can see it right when you jump in. All right, so we got plain. Now we definitely need something interesting here, so let's go with pictures here. Let's see if we can open the paper. Can we? Yes, we can. Okay, so there's that there. And then between this and this is kind of busy, so we can go with something a little more plain. So we'll use this page here. And again, you've got busy and whatnot, so we'll have the palette cleanser text here. And then between this one and this one, now we can have our little small one. Okay? So now, these are our signature. And as you can see, these are kind of push out this way. Now part of it is because I have to, you know, trim the edges off of this. So I may have to trim these down a bit more. You can do it a few different ways. You can take your ruler and say a rotary cutter, and you can go along and you can do that. Every time I've done that, I've made just a complete bollocks of the whole thing. So don't do that anymore. So what I'll do is I'll go and see, okay, this sticks out. Yeah, so I'll take a 1/4 inch off a couple of them, you know, until they all fit in there kind of nice. Okay, so that's this one. And I'm going to do the same sort of thing. Again, I will speed it up, and I'll sit this here. And I wish I could sit it here somewhere, but that way I can refer to it. to make sure I'm putting them kind of the same sort of order as I'm doing this one. Just it's a me thing. You don't have to do it that way. It's just me. Okay, so we'll do that, and then I'll fast forward through this, and then I shall return. Okay, so we are back, and all three of them are all put together. So we're going to pick one. We're going to pick the one that has the most to do on it, and we are going to trim that one up and work with that. So got a paper trimmer out again, ready to go. And again, this had to be trimmed a little bit. Do I really want to trim all the pages to be the same height as this one? Not really, because it would start making everything shorter. It's a real pain in the butt. This will just center it real nice on there and it'll be fine. Okay, so this page is good, this page is good. This one here is a little bit tall. Okay, so we're gonna do that and fold that like that so we can find it again. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take some of this end off here. And again, everything else should be, you know, around 8.5 inches tall. So we're gonna make this 8.5 inches tall. And take out just a little tiny bit at the top. We'll lose the least amount of prettiness that way. Plus it gets that kind of rough edge off of the end there. Okay, so we'll get this back in here. And when we stack everything up, now you'll see it's a lot more even at the top. But now we got this junk sticking out of here. So, first part that we're gonna do is we are going to start trimming this stuff. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take my ruler. I'll see, okay, we've got about 1/2 inch that stuff's starting to stick out. You don't want to take 1/2 inch off of everything necessarily, but start in the center and do that. So let's see. Start with our center page here, which I always hate to do this one, and I'm not going to take 1/2 inch. I'm going to take maybe just a little tiny bit, because I don't want to take too much of the edge decoration off, but I do still want it to fit. Okay. So this one here, this one is shorter, so it's fine. This one here will take about 1/4 inch off of this. Now, if you want, you can save these little strips, depending if you think you're going to use them for something. Sometimes I do, most of the time I don't. You know, there's some scraps you just kind of need to let go, you know. Okay, so now that's going to fit better in there. This one's fine. This is the one that's sticking out like crazy. Okay. And plus we had our inside that we're going to do, so we'll knock them back at the same time. Okay, so we will, let's go about 3/8 of an inch on this one, I think. Just because now these two longer strips, I'll say the shorter ones too. The scrapbook paper I will use on something, so that goes into the pile. And now these guys match. So I'm going to put this on here. Now this one, I'm sure you saw when I was folding the stuff, you know, it was sticking out way too long. I don't want to lose any of this paper. So I'm going to make these into pockets. I may sew it, I may glue it, or I may just leave them where they're flip outs. You know, we'll figure it out when we get there. Okay, and every once in a while just kind of check that everything's looking okay. So it's really the coffee stain paper and the mulberry paper that are the ones. And so we'll go about 1/4 of an inch on this as well. I don't want to go too crazy with it because then, you know, it'll be real short in there and it'll look kind of weird. Okay, that looks good. And the dictionary page is good. We have the mulberry and this one again, 1/4 inch, and I'm saving the strips of this because I definitely do use these strips too. And you just kind of go through all of them and do that. It can get a little tedious and boring, but it's okay. This one sticks out a little bit more, so we're going to go about 3/8 on this. And plus it'll get rid of some of the extra white page down at the bottom, so it's not like we're missing anything exciting. And I really like this page because it has all these cool illustrations on there along with it. So, you know, that's fitting in there better. This one, do not do that too because you have a fold. So if you do that, you will no longer have a fold and you'll have another big strip of paper. So, but these should probably be okay. Let's take a look and see how it's doing. So yeah, see, it's a lot more even. It doesn't have to be exactly even because again, your front page, you know, it had to be trimmed if you're like me and it refuses to print borderless. So, and it's a junk journal, it's supposed to look messy. So we have other tricks up our sleeve. We can add lace to these. We can do all sorts of things that'll kind of pull everything out. But it's fairly even now, okay? So you just do that to all those pages and then it will be time to move on to the next step, which I will do in the next video because I am not going to try to do that all in one because it'll be way too long. This is going to be long enough as it is. But when I come back next, I will have these all trimmed up and ready to go. And let's go ahead and take these and put these in here while we're at it and test them to make sure they fit nice. And they do. See, it's leaving a nice border here. So once it's sewn in, they'll be sitting in there real nice. Okay, so that's going to be it for this time as I make a big mess. And next time I will come back and show you how to do some texturing on the pages using rubber stamps, using stencils, using sewing, things like that nature. But anytime you're going to do any sewing, obviously you have to do it before you sew the pages into the book. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it without destroying something. So we'll take care of this one here, and maybe this one, and the rest of them. So that is that for that. And I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.